Okay friends, to get started on this job, the first thing that we need to talk about is safety. You want hand protection and eye protection at all times. With that said, safely raise and support your vehicle so you have your front wheel off the ground. We're going to remove this center cover and then we're going to remove the lug nuts as well. Get your wheel off of here. Okay, now that the wheel's off, we have a nice clear view of our inner tie rod end. We need to loosen this jam nut right here. I like to use a nice big pair of pliers. Give that a little turn, grab it, there we are. Make sure it's broken free. Now we're going to remove our outer tie rod end nut. To remove your outer tie rod end, it's best to hit right along the knuckle. If for some reason that isn't working and you don't have a threaded area along the top of your tie rod, you could carefully try to bonk along the top as well. So now that we can make this spin around, this is going to be much easier to be able to get access to this area. One of the first things I like to do is get the ABS wire off of here. I want to make sure that it's disattached from the flex hose so that when we hang the caliper, we're definitely not going to put any tugs on it. Next, we're going to remove these two bolts right here and take the caliper off of the bracket. Leave that in a little bit. Set those aside. Next, what we need to do is take a pry bar like this, and we're going to come right in between this area. We want to get between the caliper and the rotor and just try to pry. We want to do it slowly, and we're going to try to push back the pistons. The reason for that is because the pad on the inside has a couple little divots that are going to go into the slots on the pistons. I'm going to turn this a little bit. Okay, just a teeny bit. Now I can grab this. I can pull it right off. It's always a great idea to inspect your caliper. Look for any leakage. If you see any fluid coming out from around these seals, more than likely the caliper is no good. Just set this up here for now. We don't want to put any pressure on this flex hose. You want to make sure it's safe as can be. Now we're going to remove these clips from the pads themselves. They come right out at this point. Let's go ahead and get the pads out. Set those aside. Next, I like to push the caliper pistons back. If you look at the caliper, you're going to notice there's two pistons. Well, that's really great. The only problem with it, though, is if you try to push back one piston at a time, it's going to push out the other. With that said, I like to use a pad. Just use one of your old ones, of course, not a new one. And then, of course, your caliper depression tool, whatever you might happen to have. This one works great. And now I'm going to carefully push in both those pistons at the same time, nice and slow. That feels great. If for some reason those pistons didn't want to push in, you know you have an issue with the caliper as well. Set this aside so it puts no pressure on your flex hose. Next, we're going to remove our two caliper bracket mounting bolts. Put in a couple threads. Now that we've got the bracket off of there, let's get this cotter pin out of the way and we'll get this little cover as well. Let's remove our spindle nut. Just take your nut, put it back on there, just a couple threads. At this point, we're going to take our hammer and we're going to come from the back side and just try to break this free from the spindle. Make sure your nut's on there to keep you safe. The rotor's going to be a little heavy. There it is. Now that that rotor's out of the way, we're going to inspect the backing plate. You want to make sure it's in good condition. If yours is in condition like ours, obviously you might want to do something about that. I'm just going to kind of push this so it's going to be safely and secured, at least for the purpose of this video, and I'm going to move along. Next, what I want to do is clean up this area right along here. That's the area that the bearing's going to be going around. If you look at it and you see that it has a lot of rust or rot or buildup of any sort, you need to make sure you clean that down. I could use something as simple as sandpaper. Now we need to clean up our braking surface on our rotors. Use a little bit of parts cleaner and a nice clean rag and wipe it down. Do the same to both sides, of course, and then we'll get ready for an install. Get our rotor up on here. That's completely in as far as it's going to go. I'm going to hold on to it because I don't want it to slide off. Okay, now we're just going to go ahead and put the nut on there. If you're reusing your old nut, make sure you use some thread locker or, of course, replace the nut. Now we're going to torque our spindle nut to 296 foot-pounds. We made our way over to the bench with our caliper bracket. The reason for that is because we need to clean it up and dress it up so it'll be ready for our new brakes. Grab yourself a small pry bar or even a small screwdriver and remove your tins. Next, what we need is a rag, and we're going to grab right onto this area right here, which is considered your slider, and you're going to pull it right out. What you'll notice as you start to pull is that the boot wants to come with it. If you go right along this lip right here, it'll pull away, and then you can slide out the slider. Do the same to both. As you pull them out, make sure you have them on the same side that you removed them from. The reason for that is because if you were to clean them up, you're going to see that one of them has this little rubber boot right here. This is great for vibration dampening and noise reduction overall, and it's very important that it's on the same side of the caliper bracket that you removed it from. When you clean up your caliper slider, make sure you get all up inside this lip right here. That's super important because that's where the boot's going to ride. If it's rotted or rusted or has any reason that moisture can make its way inside, there's a possibility that you could freeze up your slider inside the tube right here, and then your brakes won't function as they should. Now that I have both my sliders clean, the next thing I want to do is carefully remove my boot. If you were to take your small pocket screwdriver and come right along the edge of the metal and the rubber, you should be able to kind of weasel it in there. Once you do, the boot should come popping right out. At this point, you want to clean and inspect your boot. Take your rag, roll it around on it, get it nice and clean. If you see any rips, tears, or even if it seems like it's super stiff and it might break, you need to replace it. This one looks pretty great actually. I'll check the same on the other one, and if they're both good, we'll reuse them. Now that we have all that nice and cleaned up, it's time to continue cleaning up the bracket itself. As you can tell, there's nothing on here that we need to worry about damaging, so we're doing all right. Inside this area right here is where the sliders need to be. They're going to go in and out. It needs to be well lubricated. It also needs to be in good condition. So you want to make sure you clean that out, inspect it, and then of course re-lubricate it when you put in your new slider. Once you've got it sprayed and cleaned out, just take a peek inside there and check it out. This one looks great. We'll do the same to the other side and we'll continue. Now that we have both of our slider ports cleaned up, we want to clean up the area where those tins were. Remember when you're cleaning this, you want to clean this area right up here, and then of course the edge there and the edge there. That's going to be super important on all four corners because that's where the tin's going to be, and then of course the pad. Now if you don't have one of these tools, you can also use a nice wire brush and do pretty much the same thing. It might just take a little bit longer. Okay. So all four of these corners look great at this point. We cleaned out the inside of those ports. Let's move along. We're going to use some grease. This is just plain old caliper grease. It's nothing special. I'm just going to put a little dab here, here, there, and there. With a glove finger, or of course with the same brush, go ahead and spread it around and make sure you coat all the areas that you cleaned off, only because this is going to help keep moisture away and of course help with vibration dampening as well. Now that we have the areas nice and lubed, we're going to go ahead and install our tins. If you were to look at this area, the tin right there, it kind of pops out a little bit. That's going to actually press into this area. So as I bring it, I'm going to go over these areas here, press this, and then I'm going to bring this up and in and make sure it's up against the bracket. That's what holds it in. The same to the other one. That's great. Take a little bit of your lubricant and go right along this hole right here, and then of course the other one. And now what we're going to do is we're going to put in our boots. You might need the use of your flathead screwdriver, but more than likely you won't. Just kind of start one in like that, and then you should be able to push it in with your finger. Give it a nice twist to make sure that the grease has made its way all the way around the inside of that boot. That's going to keep the moisture out, of course. Looks great. Let's continue on with some more grease. Now I'm going to lubricate my slider. Not only do you want to do the shaft area of the slider, but you want to make sure you get up into this area right here. That's the area where the boot's going to ride. This is going to help keep moisture out as well. That looks pretty great. Slide it on in there and give it a nice twist. Make sure there's grease everywhere in there. Do the same to the other one. Let's make our way back over to the vehicle and get our bracket on there. We've got our bolts, and I like to use a little bit of thread locker. I'm just going to put them right on there. Next, we're going to snug them up, and then we'll torque them to manufacturer specifications. Let's torque these to 148 foot-pounds. Next, we need to prep our caliper. I'm going to use a little bit more of this caliper grease. I'm going to go right along that piston right there, this one right here, and then on the other side of the caliper, each one of these 3 ears. Let's get ready to install our pads. I'll start with the inboard one. Same for the outboard. If you find that you have to use a hammer or anything like that to put these in, obviously you probably didn't clean up the bracket enough. Your pads need to be able to slide around like this. You're going to notice that your kit came with these right here. These are to help separate the pad when you release the brake pedal. It's going to help diminish overheating of the brakes. Put one in the top, just like this, facing towards the center, and then of course one on the bottom doing the same. Now let's grab our caliper. We're going to put it right over this. Just push your pads together. Should be able to slide this in. There we are. Take your 2 caliper bolts, a tiny bit of thread locker, start them in, snug them up, and then we'll torque them down. Torque these to 47 foot-pounds. Let's get this back on here. Now we're going to put on the lock for the spindle nut. Go ahead and put that over. You want to try to line it up so the slots that are on it line up with the hole in the axle. Take a nice new cotter pin. It's a great idea to use a new one, of course. Slide it through, and then of course peen over the ends so there's no way this nut can loosen up. Now it's time to get our outer tie rod end into the knuckle. Let's see if I can just turn it a little bit. Slide it in here. There we are. Take our nut. If it has a lock, make sure the lock is facing up, of course. Now we're going to snug it down, and then we're going to torque it to 111 foot-pounds. Now it's time to get our wheel back up on here. We'll start on all of our lug nuts, bottom them out, and then we're going to torque them to 150 foot-pounds. Next, you need to get your vehicle so the tire is just barely on the ground so it can't spin. We're going to torque the lug nuts, like I said, to 150 foot-pounds in a star pattern. Once you've torqued it, make sure you put back on your center cover, of course. Let's pump up the brake. You always want to make sure you top off your brake fluid anytime you're done. Okay friends, anytime you do any type of front end work on your vehicle, it's always super important to make sure you get your vehicle down to a reputable alignment shop. They're going to take care of you and make sure you're going straight on down the road. Be safe out there.